Hello, my name is Mr. Z, and today I'll be providing you some feedback on your argumentative essay entitled Health is Sports. In particular, I'll be addressing your hook, transitions, and organization. First off, I'd like to begin with some positive aspects of your writing. Overall, you've demonstrated a strong understanding on the basics of an argumentative essay, as well as clearly identified your position on this topic, that schools should prioritize the physical and mental health of their student athletes. You've also shown that you know how to draw information from outside sources and how to cite that information within the essay. To facilitate my feedback, we'll be using a graphic organizer outline that follows the 5-paragraph essay format shown here on the left. The first piece of feedback I have for you is regarding the hook of your essay. This section should immediately draw your reader's attention and make them want to continue reading. You'll then want to follow that up with some background information. This section should introduce the topic of the essay and prepare the reader for what's to come later on in the essay. Finally, your thesis. This section should include your stance on the topic and introduce your 2 reasons. Moving on to the first body paragraph. This paragraph will be all about your first reason supporting your stance. In your case, paragraph 1 can be all about the mental health concerns of student athletes. But before we go on, let's talk about transitions. Although skipping a line and indenting is a clear physical delineator between paragraphs and ideas, you'll also want to consider using transitional verbs and phrases to signal to the reader that we're moving on to the next part of your essay. These transitions can be something simple, such as first, second, and lastly, or something more complex, such as, for example, in addition, and therefore. You should practice using a mixture of both to see which type fits your writing style the best. Now going back to body paragraph 1, you'll first want to state your first supporting argument and then give evidence that supports this reason with proper citations. I see you've put in-text citations already, such as here in your second paragraph from tuck.com and here in your third paragraph from sportsrec.com. But we want to make sure we're keeping these citations consistent with quotes around the cited words and the name of the author, article, or website after in parentheses. You'll round out body paragraph 1 by expanding on your evidence and explaining how it relates to and supports your stance. Body paragraph 2 will mirror the structure we used in body paragraph 1, but contain your second reason supporting your stance. In your case, this would be all about the physical health concerns to student athletes. In my opinion, you might consider switching the order of your first 2 reasons, having the physical health be first and the mental health be second, since physical health is typically the first concern we have when thinking about student athletes. This is just a bit of organizational layering that might help draw readers in, but the order of the first 2 reasons is completely up to you. Again, in body paragraph number 2, remember to pay special attention to your transitional phrases and in-text citations. Moving on to body paragraph 3, here is where we're exploring new territory within your essay. The key component to an argumentative essay is acknowledging the other side and proving why a counterargument is invalid. We'll start by voicing a counterargument, followed by refuting it in the rebuttal section. And then we will point to evidence that backs that rebuttal. This counterargument and rebuttal is not seen in your essay here, but typically if you just look at how the other side might view students' health, be it mental or physical, when it comes to sports, you can try to consider it from their perspective and see why it matches up with your stance or argues against your stance. And from there, you would just craft a counter argument in the rebuttal paragraph 3. Finally, the conclusion. Here as well, you'll reiterate your stance and your 2 reasons, but you don't simply want to restate what the reader just spent 10 minutes reading. Instead, you want your essay to have a lasting impression. This is where your closing statement comes in. Think of this as a closing hook, something that leads your reader out of the essay while giving your paper longevity in their mind. I see your essay has some of this when you say, Schools should just check on kids more because they never know what's happening to them. But you want to craft a closing statement that has a stronger emotional or pathos appeal. Lastly, don't be afraid to ask your teacher or peers to proofread your essay. I noticed some sentence fragments scattered throughout your essay, typically at the end of your paragraphs, such as up here when you said, which is no fun to any or no sports players. Even this one, with less sleep, they won't do as good in school or in sports. This one is not as much as a fragment, but it doesn't feel as much as a complete sentence either. By relying on proofreaders or even reading your own essay out loud to yourself, you may be able to catch or hear these mistakes easier. All in all, you have a very strong foundation for a powerful argumentative essay. If you just focus on hammering out the organization of your essay, employing effective transitional phrases, and including a counterargument, you'll have an outstanding paper. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my feedback. I hope this was helpful and I look forward to reading your final draft. Bye!